Knowledge Adventure. Have fun. Get smart.
Welcome to the main menu of Navigator, the easy way to get to know and use your Packard Bell computer. Explore the functions of Navigator by using the mouse or the tab or arrow keys on your keyboard.
Welcome to 3D Dinosaur Adventure. Get ready. Put your 3D glasses on. Welcome to Dinosaur Adventure 3D. To take your virtual reality tour through the park, click on the doorway. If you want to go directly to an activity, just click on one of the buttons at the top of the screen. How well do you know your dinosaur facts?
Dinosaurs roam the Earth. Looking down on Earth from space 200 million years ago, you would have seen a very different world. Instead of the familiar continents, you would have seen one supercontinent called Pangaea, and one gigantic ocean. And on the Earth would be large ferns and conifer trees, many that would be strange to us today. Most impressive, though, would be the dinosaurs. While some of these reptiles, whose name means terrible lizard, were as small as a chicken, others were taller than a 3-story building. These great creatures appeared on Earth about 225 million years ago and ruled until about 65 million years ago. The first part of their reign was during the Triassic period. During that time, all the Earth's land was in one continent, so the dinosaurs could spread freely across the Earth. Also, the weather was warm, and swamps covered much of the land. During the next period, the Jurassic, the weather remained warm, and plants and animals increased rapidly. But the continents had begun to drift apart, The Cretaceous period marked the end of the dinosaurs. The continents drifted further apart, and the Earth's climate became more varied. The turtle, a real survivor.
If you were to go back 200 million years, one group of animals would look almost exactly the same as it does today: the turtle. Turtles are unique because they are the only reptiles that have most of their body enclosed in a shell. For the giant land turtles which lived at the time of the dinosaur, a sturdy shell was a must for use against meat-eating predators. The giant sea turtles alive at the time had fewer enemies, so they could survive with a lighter shell, which enabled them to move quickly through the ancient seas. Prehistoric turtles measured anywhere between 6 inches and 12 feet long. Perhaps the most interesting of these was Testudo atlas. At 8 feet long and 4.5 tons, the largest of the land turtles. Testudo, alive in the Pleistocene epoch, long after the dinosaurs disappeared, was also called Colossochelys, which means colossal shell. It had a sharp, toothless beak which it used to tear up plants. It supported its massive shell with 4 pillar-like legs that stuck out from either side of its body. If attacked, Testudo atlas could retreat fully into its huge shell, where it was totally protected from even the fiercest of predators.
Rhamphorhynchus, sea skimmer. With its long beak and outwardly pointing teeth, Rhamphorhynchus skimmed across the late Jurassic seas, snatching up fish for its nourishment. Small and agile, Rhamphorhynchus was a member of a group of flying reptiles known as pterosaurs. Like other pterosaurs, Rhamphorhynchus flew through the air on wings made of thin skin that was stretched along their bodies to the very tips of their extremely long fourth fingers, or wing fingers. Well-preserved fossils of Rhamphorhynchus have been found in the limestone quarries of southern Germany, which show the membranous skin of their wings and long kite-like tails which helped guide these creatures in flight. It had a wingspan of about 3 feet 3 inches, and thin fibers running from the front to the back of the wings strengthened them greatly, much like the wing structure of the modern bat. Rhamphorhynchus's tail was also very long and strengthened by many thin, bony rods that ended in a small, flared-out flap of skin resembling a kite. Stygimoloch, to butt or not to butt.
Stygimoloch, or demon from the river Styx, was one of the head-butting variety of dinosaurs called Pachycephalosaurus, but some scientists think it may not actually have used its head to butt with. Unlike other Pachycephalosaurs, its domed skull was covered with long spikes and horns that looked dangerous, so it may have been enough for Stygimoloch to display its headgear to establish its social standing.
A molecule is born. All life forms are made mostly of a few common atoms, such as hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. These atoms stick together in groups, called molecules. Atoms are like the letters of the alphabet. Molecules are like words formed from those letters. A few letters can make an endless variety of words. Many scientists think that after the Earth formed, the atmosphere consisted mainly of hydrogen, ammonia, and methane. These dissolved in the ocean were the basic ingredients of life. The chemicals mixed in the water, forming a soup of more complicated molecules. Sunlight provided the energy to cook the soup. Lightning accelerated the process, helping more complex chains of carbon atoms to form. By recreating what they believe the surface of the early Earth must have been like, scientists have created some of the organic compounds from which life is built, but they are still far from creating life. For life to exist, carbon is very special. Most atoms can only stick to themselves in small clusters, but carbon is unusual in that its atoms can stick to each other in endless chains like sticky marbles. Perhaps when conditions were perfect, some complicated molecules formed in the early seas, then broke into two identical halves. Then when the right molecules, food, stuck on them, they might have formed identical copies of themselves. This would have been the first self-reproducing molecule, meaning that it made identical copies of itself, like a tiny photocopy machine. Each of these copies could then split in two and form more and more copies, multiplying throughout the oceans like rabbits. Perhaps this was how life began. A singular Big Bang. Most scientists believe the universe began from a singularity, an impossible-to-imagine point, so small that it had no size at all. Then that point, which they think contained everything that there is in the universe, matter, energy, and even time and space, exploded with an enormous rush. Scientists don't know what caused this point to explode in a Big Bang about 15 billion years ago, and they don't know what, if anything, existed before the bang occurred, or even if there was a before it happened. So-called black holes are believed to be similar to this singularity, except that they contain far less of the universe. Black holes are believed to be collapsed stars of such density and gravitational strength that once caught, nothing, not even light, can escape their pull. Scientists believe that as the Big Bang exploded outward in a blaze of energy, the universe was blown up like a child blows up a balloon. library, bibliography, museums.
Welcome to the Dinosaur Adventure Library. You can use the card catalog in the library picture to find any topic you wish. Just click on the card catalog drawer containing the topic you want to find. Then click on the topic itself. Dinosaur Adventure will take you right to a screen on that topic. To learn more about dinosaurs, check the lists of dinosaur books and museums below.
Elasmosaurus, longest marine reptile. Measuring 46 feet in length, Elasmosaurus was the longest known plesiosaur, or marine reptile, to roam the seas of the Cretaceous era. Elasmosaurus's neck alone measured close to 26 feet, more than half its body length. This snake-like neck was made up of more than 71 vertebrae, and was 3 times longer than that of any of its near relatives. The rest of Elasmosaurus's body was sturdy and compact. Its tail was short, and its huge paddle-like flippers were perfect for propelling Elasmosaurus through the water, much like a sea turtle does. Scientists think that Elasmosaurus spent much of its time swimming with its head just above water, scanning the waves for small fish and squid to eat. Like Plesiosaurus, Elasmosaurus probably only left the water to lay its eggs in the sand. Plesiosaurus, reptile of the sea. Plesiosaurus was the earliest member of the ocean-going group of reptiles called plesiosaurs. These 7-foot-long marine reptiles cruised the shallow seas around England and Germany in search of their prey, smaller fish. Instead of limbs like other reptiles, Plesiosaurus developed long, narrow, penguin-like flippers and short tails. Plesiosaurus, or ribbon reptile, used its paddle-shaped flippers much like a sea turtle does. Instead of rowing backwards and forwards, Plesiosaurus flapped its paddles up and down, so that it probably looked like it was flying through the water when it swam. Plesiosaurus also laid its eggs just like a sea turtle does, in nests that were dug out in the sand. Because of their long necks and lack of any protective armor, they would have been easy prey for enemies as they waddled up the beach to lay their eggs. Plesiosaurus was an expert fish catcher. Held high above the water with its long neck, Plesiosaurus's head could spot fish beneath it and then snap them up with its razor-sharp teeth. Ichthyosaurus, acrobat of the seas.
Ichthyosaurus looked like a fish, swam like a fish, but, in fact, was a reptile, though not a dinosaur. For nearly 80 million years, Ichthyosaurus cruised the open seas, feeding off of schools of primitive fish, which lived in the shallow waters surrounding the ancient continents. With its dorsal fin, streamlined body, and strong flexible tail, Ichthyosaurus resembled a modern dolphin. Like dolphins, Ichthyosaurus was probably quick and capable of impressive acrobatics both in and out of water. Also, like a dolphin, Ichthyosaurus couldn't remain underwater forever and had to break the surface from time to time in order to breathe. To locate its prey, Ichthyosaurus had large eyes and heavy ear bones which transmitted the sounds of the sea. Over the years, scientists have found hundreds of well-preserved fossil Ichthyosaurus in rocks around Europe and North America. Much of that land was once covered by water, so when an Ichthyosaurus died, its body would descend to the sea floor, where it would be covered with sediment and transformed into a fossil. One of the most amazing traits of Ichthyosaurus was that it gave birth to live young, rather than lay eggs like other reptiles. Many fossils of Ichthyosaurus have been discovered with young Ichthyosaurus inside the skeleton of an adult. Some fossils even show the body of the baby Ichthyosaurus in the process of emerging from an adult body.
Tarbosaurus, Little Tyrannosaurus. 13 Tarbosaurus skeletons have been found in Mongolia. This alarming reptile, as its name means, was first discovered in 1955 in the Nemext Basin in that country. The bones are so much like those of Tyrannosaurus that many experts think it was essentially the same animal. However, the Tarbosaurus skeletons are somewhat smaller than those of Tyrannosaurus, and there are some small differences in the skull. What is a dinosaur? There were many reptiles that lived at the same time as the dinosaurs, including some that are alive today, such as crocodiles and turtles. There were also reptiles that vanished with the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period. The flying reptiles, pterosaurs, and the marine reptiles like Ichthyosaurus, Mosasaurus, and Plesiosaurus. So what distinguishes dinosaurs from these other reptiles? Dinosaurs were land-dwelling reptiles. They probably arose from a group of archosaurs called thecodonts in the middle to late Triassic period. Many scientists believe archosaurs evolved a number of improvements to crocodilian leg and muscle arrangement, enabling them to move much faster and hunt more effectively. With dinosaurs, the process continued, and the main feature that marks the dinosaurs appeared: an upright stance on straight legs. Other reptiles, such as lizards, have legs that spread to the sides of their bodies, and knee joints that are at an angle. Dinosaurs, with their legs beneath their bodies, grew quite large because their distinctive legs could hold them up. In fact, scientists can recognize a dinosaur fossil just by observing the arrangement of the hip joint, the angle of the knee and ankle joints, and the ridges and knobs on the bones that mark the places where the muscles attached. Even for those who are not paleontologists, it is fairly easy to recognize a dinosaur. All dinosaurs lived on land and walked upright on column-like legs. They laid eggs with shells and lived only during the Mesozoic era, which is broken into 3 periods: the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. All dinosaurs belong to the class Reptilia and the superorder Archosauria. Below Archosauria are 2 principal groups, the orders Saurischia and Ornithischia, which differ in their hip arrangement. Some scientists have argued that dinosaurs, which may have been warm-blooded, are so different from the other members of the class Reptilia that they deserve their own class, Dinosauria. If birds, now in a class to themselves, aves, did descend from dinosaurs, then they should also be classified as Dinosauria, and that would make them the only members of that group to survive the mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period. Albertosaurus, Tyranno's smaller brother. At 29 feet long, Albertosaurus was only about half the size of its closest cousin, Tyrannosaurus. Despite the difference in size, Albertosaurus was built in much the same way as its other meat-eating relatives. It had a large muscular head, a mouth full of sharp serrated teeth, and a powerful jaw that could deliver a fatal bone-crushing bite to the neck of its victims. Like Tyrannosaurus, Albertosaurus had puny forearms that were too short to reach up to its mouth to feed. With only 2 functional fingers on its arms, as opposed to 3, grasping for food would also have been very difficult. Some believe that Albertosaurus used these tiny limbs to hold on to females during mating. Others think they were used to help the dinosaur raise itself up when it was lying prone on the ground. Paleontologists still wonder whether Albertosaurus and its flesh-eating relatives were fast-moving predators. Their bodies were too heavy to chase prey at high speeds for very long distances. More likely, Albertosaurus waited for its victims, then charged them at speeds of 18 or 20 miles an hour. Once close enough, Albertosaurus could clamp its powerful jaws down on the neck of its victim and then deliver a stunning blow with its powerful clawed legs. Albertosaurus. At Nanotyrannosaurus, a young Tyrannosaurus.
At about 16 feet long, Nanotyrannosaurus was a relatively small meat-eating dinosaur. Its name means tiny tyrant, and it is known only by a skull found in Montana and a few teeth from South Dakota. For a while, scientists thought it might be an Albertosaurus, except that its eyes faced forward, while Albertosaurus' eyes faced outward. These forward-facing eyes meant it must have been good at judging distances, so it may have been a good hunter. While it appears not to have been an Albertosaurus, some scientists think it may have been a young Tyrannosaurus because some of the bones were not fused together, as would be the case if it was fully grown.
Were dinosaurs warm-blooded?
Most scientists have thought that dinosaurs were cold-blooded animals. It seemed reasonable. Modern reptiles are cold-blooded, so if dinosaurs evolved from ancient reptiles, they were probably cold-blooded too. But one scientist, Dr. Bob Backer, has said dinosaurs were warm-blooded. Here are some of his arguments. Almost all animals that walk upright today are warm-blooded, and dinosaurs walked upright. The hearts of warm-blooded animals can pump much more effectively than the hearts of cold-blooded animals. Therefore, the giant Brachiosaurus must have had the type of heart associated with warm-blooded animals in order to pump blood all the way up to its head. Dinosaurs, such as Deinonychus, led a very active life, which is much more compatible with a warm-blooded animal. Some dinosaurs lived in northern latitudes where it would have been impossible for cold-blooded dinosaurs to keep warm, though critics point out that the northern latitudes were warmer in the days of the dinosaurs than today. Critics of this theory, however, say that cold-blooded animals tend to have smaller brains than warm-blooded ones, and for the most part, dinosaurs have small brains, though there are some examples of dinosaurs with larger brains. The warm-blooded dinosaur theory is still much in dispute.
Were dinosaurs...
Most scientists have thought
Library?
Well, see you soon.
Welcome to the main menu of navigation.
Were dinosaurs...
Most scientists have thought